What's going on, guys? It's Mike for SimRacing604. Welcome back once again to F1 2018. And today we're actually going to be talking about driving aids, specifically traction control and ABS, and how they affect gameplay in F1 2018. Do they make you faster, or do they make me faster, more specifically? Now, a few things to keep in mind. F1 does not currently use these driving aids. There's no traction control, no ABS. Traction control was banned somewhere about a decade ago, and ABS far before that. And so you would be going outside the realm of, emulating what F1 is doing in real life. But if you choose to go that way, I just wanted to sort of give you an idea of what it could mean in terms of lap time. So what I did was I took, as you can see, the SF71H around Spa for about 10 laps in each configuration. I did all the aids off, and then I turned traction control and ABS on and ran some laps, and in a second we'll take a look at a side-by-side and see how things turned out, and then after the conclusion of that we'll talk about what it meant for the lap times, and yeah, we'll go from there. Alright, so let's take a look at these side-by-side comparisons, and then we'll talk about the effects of traction control and ABS and why one made me faster than the other. So as you can see, guys, overall it didn't make that much of a difference in terms of lap time, but the handling of the cars was very, very different. And I should have noted off the top that we're running the same setup for both cars. It's that base balanced setup. I took it straight out of the box and ran these laps, so there's no advantage there by setup, and just kept it at a level playing field. Hence the reason I'm up in the 144s and not down in the 142 or lower kind of range. So I kept it all equal there. So I want to talk about how the cars drove and why I sort of ended up at the lap times I did. So how the cars drove, of course, with traction control and ABS turned on, it was much more stable. I was able to turn 10 laps almost in succession, whereas with the aids turned off, I would quite often, lose control and go too wide around a corner, have to restart the lap or something like that. So it did feel much more confidence inspiring. Of course, if you're going for realism, well, you're going to want to have those aids turned off. But if you're in F1 18 just to have a good time and just to, turn some consecutive laps and have some good races, and you don't think of it as a true simulator, then it probably wouldn't hurt you to turn the aids on, because again, I was much more stable and much more confident driving the cars with traction control and ABS turned on. Now, in terms of drivability, where I made up time, where I lost time, you may have heard I had the sound actually turned on. What you were hearing was the first car, the one with the driving aids turned off, so you heard a bit of tire squeal there. So I did that intentionally so you could hear the brakes locking up when I was going into at least one corner, and you know, I was applying threshold braking. As soon as you feel that lock up, you start to back off, and so I was a little bit faster into the corners with the aids turned on, and because of that ABS, the ABS, you have to start your braking a bit early. True, you don't lock up, but you don't have quite the stopping power, or I wasn't able to generate quite the stopping power that I was with the driving aids turned off. But coming out of the corners, I was a lot faster with the traction control turned on. I didn't have it at full traction control, I had it at medium traction control, so you can't just stomp it. If you stomp it, back end will go out still, but you can be much more sort of liberal with your throttle application. You have to be quite conservative with the aids turned off. With the aids turned on, you can be a lot more sort of free with your throttle application. You especially notice that coming out of the bust up or not bust up chicane onto the front straightaway there. Because that's an area where I often lose traction, and of course with traction control turned on, I was able to be a bit more free with my throttle application. So that's gonna do it, guys. We're wrapping it up. We're short of 7 minutes here. I think that's a good length. So all in all, I didn't notice a big overall difference, but in terms of confidence, I was, you know, much more impressed with the aids, with the drivability of the cars, with the aids turned on. With the aids turned off, it is more challenging, it's more true to life, so you kind of have to ask yourself, what do you want out of F1 2018? Let me know, guys, do you run with driving aids turned on? Do you run with driving aids turned off? And what have your results been? Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you next time.